Hey guys, what's going on? It's Oaken here. And what you can see behind me on the screen there is the most ridiculously simple outreach process that I've found on LinkedIn to easily book yourself 3 to 5 sales calls every single week. It's the system that's closed me over 11,000 within 6 days, with spending under an hour a day on the platform. And it also helped Fabian to close 200,000 in annual recurring revenue within 7 weeks of us working together. It's how Mike managed to close 18,000 in monthly recurring revenue within 12 weeks of us working together. It's how Osman managed to book 4 calls in his first 3 weeks of us working together, having never done outbound before. The list goes on, right? It's such a simple process. It's literally just 3 different DMs. Number 1, we identify the lead. Number 2, we pitch, which we have permission for. And number 3, we qualify and we book that call. So I'm going to jump in and show you right now. But just before I do, down in the description, if you want a super deep dive into all of this stuff, if you want the scripts, if you want the processes, if you want how to follow up, if you want all that good stuff, it's straight down below. You can grab it in the link. All right, cool. I'll jump in. All right, so as I said, it's 3 simple DMs. We've got the direct DMs. This is mostly cold, right? We can also use this based on intent-based leads on LinkedIn as well, but we're generally going to be considering this to be a cold outreach process at the moment. All right, so we've got the direct DMs. DM1, we call the lead identifier. What we're doing is we're just reaching out and we're using what's called childlike curiosity. Don't know if you've ever read Chris Voss's Never Split the Difference. Chris Voss was a FBI negotiator, and he now teaches businesses how to negotiate big deals, essentially, using the kind of tools, tricks, tips that he used when he was a negotiator for the FBI. One of those is childlike curiosity, and it is just based on the system of being curious. And people don't generally get angry with you when you are being curious. People like to help, people like to answer questions, people like to relate to other humans when you just use simple curiosity. So that's all we're doing here. We're going to identify the lead by just asking a simple question. Okay, we've done most of our pre-qualifying. We've looked at building a good sales nav list. We've checked out their profile before we sent them a connection. They've accepted, and now we just need to figure out whether they even need our thing or not. Okay, but without just pitch slapping them and making them tell us to fuck off in the DMs. Right. So all we do is we use a lead identifier. Then what we do is once they've given us permission, they've said, yes, I'm a lead, I'd like some more information. We move on and we do the mini pitch, right? And we might send them a little bit more information, either in a video or a doc. Okay. Once we have that and they say, yes, I'm interested in having a call, or I'm interested in finding out how it works, we book and we qualify them. We can do that in a couple of different ways. We can book them in ourselves, we can send them a link, and then we can ask them qualifying questions based on who they are and what they do. So I'm going to jump in and I'm going to give you an example of each. So we've got the DM number 1, which is the lead identifier. And again, we're just using a curiosity-based opener with a very simple question to find out if this is even potentially useful for them. So you might say something like, hey name, appreciate the connection. Would you be open to learning new ways of thing without thing, right? New ways of goal without pain point, right? If you're curious, just let me know and I'll share some more info. If not, then no worries at all, or all good. Right? So for example, I help solo and small business founders book calls on LinkedIn without hiring agencies, right? So I coach them on how to do it themselves. So I might say, hey, Dave, appreciate the connection. Would you be open to learning new ways of booking 3 to 5 calls on LinkedIn per week without hiring an agency, right? Or I might just say, would you be open to new ways of booking calls on LinkedIn without hiring an agency? If you're curious, just let me know and I'll share some more info, and if not, all good. If they don't respond, we send one follow-up and we just say, hey, could this be helpful for you? We don't spam them with emojis or GIFs or any of that nonsense. If they say no, we say, hey, no worries at all. Take care, hope you have a great rest of your week. If they say yes, fantastic. We then move on to our mini pitch and our document. We give them a bit more information. Now again, we're still not going to pitch slap this person like a lot of people do. We're just going to give them a very simple explainer of what we do. We're going to send them something with a bit more info on it. And we're just going to say, if you like what you see, would you be open to me showing you how it works? Again, no worries if it's not relevant, right? So great. So I help target audience get result, right? with name of system. Here's a little doc about it, or here's some more info on it, or here's a video that explains a bit more, or something like that. Give them a link. It could be a Loom video with a mini VSL on it, right? It could be a Notion document. It could be a YouTube video, something along those lines, right? It could just be a Google Doc with a little bit more info on it. It could be a case study, right? So I would say, great. So I help solo and small business founders book 3 to 5 sales calls every single week using intent-based outreach. Here's a little document with a bit more info. Send them over the document. If you like what you see, would you be open to me showing you exactly how it works? Again, no worries if it's not relevant. Okay, so we've just sent over some more info, just like they requested, and then we've said, hey, would you like to do the next thing? We're always just trying to sell the next step. In the lead identifier, we are not trying to pitch them. We're just trying to see if they need the thing. The next step is the pitch. So we're just trying to see if it's worth us even sending them a pitch. See if they would accept that. With this, all we're trying to do is say, do you think it would be relevant for us to actually show you how it works? Would you like to see how it works? Okay. If they say yes, then we can say, sure. Does Thursday next week at 4 p.m. work for you, or the same time on Friday? Right? And if they say yes, great. You ask for their email, you book them in, that's done. You can qualify them in the DMs as well. You can then say, cool, just so I understand exactly where you're at, make the call go a bit faster. What your revenue, how many calls you're booking, whatever your qualifying questions for your business are. Or you can do it the Calendly link way, and you can say, sure, I'll grab you the link so that you can book in a time that works best for you. And you go, here you go, and you send them the link, and then you'll say something along the lines of, I'm here for 15 minutes before I pop off to the gym. I'll wait for you to lock it in just in case there's any issues, right? So that then prompts them to do it right now. One of the issues you have when you send over Calendly links is the fact that people don't book right there and then you end up in this silly little follow-up cycle where people's momentum has dropped off. But you can see how this is a ridiculously simple, ridiculously easy way to reach out to people. Now, people thank me for reaching out in this way, right? They say, what a refreshing process, right? How easy that is, and we appreciate you not just pitch slapping me, which is absolutely fantastic. A couple of little tips that you can use to make this go even better. Use these as voice notes and videos. Send somebody a video with you saying this. A little selfie video. Just get your phone out. Boom. Little selfie video of you saying this, right? People massively appreciate that. They go, ooh, video. Let me click on that. Let me take a look. All right. Same with the voice notes. All right. So just using childlike curiosity, selling the next step. All right. Mini pitch. This is what we do. No pressure. All right. Selling the next step. Make it very easy. And then, of course, you have your sales system at the back end. You do your sale, no, into the free, re-engage type stuff. All right, you might reach out a month later and say, just in case it was a price thing, running an offer, whatever. All right, yes, sale, and then you have your system on the back end. All right, this is the most simple system that I've figured out so far on LinkedIn, and by far the most effective. All right, cool. What I wanted to go over was just in case you have multiple tiered offers and you don't want to take sales calls for everything, or maybe you just don't take sales calls at all, right? But you still want to sign clients and book meetings, right? You want to find leads and give them the information to potentially make sales on LinkedIn. So you can absolutely do that. So for myself, I've recently just launched Outbound Intent 2.0, right? I've launched my community essentially, and that's a lower ticket offer to my one-to-ones. So I don't want to get on sales calls to sell my community. Right, I do for my one-to-ones because they're higher ticket. I work one-to-one with a client for 90 days, and it's a big relationship-based thing, right? Whereas the community, it's more generic. There's more of people inside a community, okay? And it's a lower ticket thing for me, so I don't need to get on sales calls to get everybody into there. Otherwise, I'd just be on ridiculous amounts of sales calls. So I've added in a system here where we're using exactly the same process: lead identifier, mini pitch and doc, and qualify and book. But inside and qualify and book, we just do the qualify first, right? We don't book first. So I might just say, great, I've got some time next week, but just before we go ahead, I want to make sure this is the right fit. Do you mind if I ask a quick question just to see what's the most relevant, right? Something along those lines. Or before we lock anything in, just want to protect both of our calendars and respect yours in that way. Do you mind if I ask a couple of quick questions just before we start, right? And that person is usually like, yeah, absolutely, no problem at all. okay? And then you can, for me, it's pretty much one question, and it's just like, what's your current revenue? If they're doing over 10K, right, per month, then the one-to-ones are perfect. If they're doing under 10K, then, or even over 10K, but they don't want to do one-to-ones, then the community is also perfect. So for me, it's just that one question. Hey, just so I can get an idea of where you're at, what kind of revenue are you doing at the moment? Is it 5 to 10 or is it between 10 to 20, right? And depending on where they answer, I go, cool. The best way that I would be able to help you is this, and here's the next step. So the best way I'd be able to help you would actually be the one-to-ones. I've got a couple of spots available for people to join, and let's have a quick call next week. Would 4 p.m. on Thursday or Friday next week work for you? Or I could say, oh, great, cool. Well, you're at about 5K. That means that you'd actually be perfect for the community. You get a year's access. You've got all of this stuff, right? I'll send you over the offer document and you can let me know if you want to go ahead or not from there. And then you can send over the offer document, okay? So you can do this whether it's calls or documents, right? So even if you were selling a high ticket thing and you sell it through docs, you just wouldn't say, can I show you how it works? You would just say, okay, great. Let me ask you some qualifying questions. And then you send them the document. Really, really simple, really, really clean, and very, very easy to do. And honestly, takes less than an hour a day once it's all set up. You can automate certain processes within this, but even if you're doing the whole thing manual and just using a Google Sheet to track it, this literally takes under an hour a day to run, easily books you 3 to 5 calls per week, and is working across the board with coaches, consultants, service providers, everyone. Like I said, I closed over 11,000 in 6 days using just this process, and multiple of my clients have absolutely crushed it using this process. All right, guys, that's it. Again, if you want to get the deep dives into all of this, if you want to get the deep dives and tons of scripts in the processes that I'm using in every single stage of this, in the lead identifiers, the mini pitch, the qualifying and call booked, the follow-ups, all of that good stuff, then you can find a link in the description and it's got all of that. If not, then no worries. Enjoy. I hope you enjoyed the training and happy DMing.